All right, guys, I'm gonna try to get through this one kind of quick because I'm running out of daylight. If you clicked on this video, I'm assuming you're interested in HR swapping your 350Z. If you haven't seen this car, this is my 2003 that, you know, was DE, and then I LS swapped it, and then I took the LS stuff out and HR swapped it. These swaps are done a little different than most people do. I think the majority of people that HR swap their cars just buy an engine, transmission, wiring harness, computer from an HR car, send the wiring harness, computer off to have the, you know, fancy stuff done. So it's just like a plug and play thing, so your car will run straight out the box like that. These are done a little different. I bought a crashed HR car, stripped the DE car down to a bare shell, and then just took everything off the HR car. So like the white car is pretty much just an HR 350Z. You don't have to modify the chassis or do anything weird except for cut a hole in the firewall for your brake booster. That's pretty much what I'm gonna show you guys, just the little differences. So like everything on this car from an HR car. So it's pretty much just an HR car. This car is a little bit different. Like I said, it's 2005, and the wiring harness, interior, and all that stuff, like everything is from an HR, but the front of the car, the radiator and all that stuff is still from the 05. So there's some little things that I did to change stuff. So I'm just gonna run you through this stuff like that, like on both cars, what I had to do to make it work. So we'll start on my car, my personal car that I'm probably gonna keep for sure. This one's about to have to find a new home, I guess. It doesn't make sense to keep two 350Zs, especially not for me. But you do have to cut a hole in the firewall. I just cut a hole down here instead of back here where the factory for the Nissan is, whatever, for the HR car. So like I said, your DE car won't have a hole for the for your brake booster. And you'll need a reservoir from an HR car for your power steering. And when all this stuff's out, you can get in here, and I just drilled a hole and put rib nuts so it actually bolts in correctly. But like I said, all these lines, all this stuff is from an HR. So I don't think you can really consider an HR swap. But I guess it's pretty much just a DE swap, or DE or chassis, yeah, DE chassis swapped an HR. But this car right here, well, I guess it'd be considered a little bit more. This would be the kind of the situation you'd be in if you were looking to do this. I just swapped the chassis, harness, computer, and all that stuff. That way you don't have issues with like anti-theft and all that stuff, and the car just works the way that Nissan intended it to work from the factory. Which if you send the harness out, you're not gonna have an issue that way either, but still. This just makes sense for me because you can buy a crashed HR car for like $2,000, $3,000. So by the time you do that and sell all your DE stuff, you're pretty much into this for nothing. So if you have a running, driving DE car, you can probably sell your engine and transmission and all your interior and all that stuff, and then just put that money towards buying a crashed HR, and then you're in the game. So especially you can find one that's been hit in the back, because you need the core support and everything from an HR if you want it to be, you know, just like an HR from the factory. But this car right here, as you can see, it still has like DE headlights. Well, my headlights are garbage, man. I need to get new headlights. But the car itself, like, so the core support is still from an 05. Like I said, you do have to get the power steering reservoir. I did the same thing. You can kind of see this a little bit better just because it doesn't have the washer fluid tank down there. But like I said, it's actually bolted in. I can't remember which holes are actually there. I think this one is there, but you have to like drill holes for these two. It's no big deal. And again, you have to drill a hole right there just for your and this is just a soft line. You kind of need that little one-way valve that stops the vacuum from leaving, so if the engine shuts off, you won't lose your brake booster. Like I said, this is a HR or a DE core support, DE radiator, DE fans, and I've seen people say you have to have the HR power steering lines, which you don't. Like I said, all my lines are from, hate to start, you can't really see it, but the hard line, the one that loops up, I just kind of tapped it over with a hammer just so it would clear my filter and everything. And the soft lines that run to the reservoir right here, they're the ones from the DE car, so they just kind of slide in and plug and play. So And for the fuel line, a lot of people say you have to have this fuel line, but this is the DE fuel line. I just kind of, you know, just hammered, not really say hammered, but you put something soft right there, you can kind of tap this over and out of the way. And the return, I'm trying to think, I kind of used a little clamp just to hold it right here so it doesn't get close to the manifold, because you definitely don't want your car to catch fire if that melts. But with the radiator, you can see, you can't really see because it's dark. I'm so sorry that I waited so late, but it's pretty much touching on the tensioner right here. But it is clearing it enough to where they'll fit in and work. So if you have to use your stuff in a pinch, you can. But if you can afford to get the HR thing, the HR radiator and fan, I would. On the HR, the inlet is over here, and you won't have a fill cap on the radiator. And the fan's a little bit, you know, a little narrower, and you have the tank right here, which I still have to kind of rig a tank up on this car, but I'm not too worried about it at this point. Just gonna let it ride. I was gonna have like a shop cut this off and move it here, and then just block that one off, so it kind of worked like the HR radiator would. But your bottom hose over here works for the coolant from, you know, HR, DE, it doesn't matter. But you'll have to, if you're going to use your DE radiator, I just went to my local parts store and found one that would work, because they're different on the DE and HR. So that's just what I did. I just went to there and just found one that I could kind of connect it and make it work, which it works pretty good. And you got room for a little, you know, these little stubby intakes. There's not a hole here for the intake to come through, like on my car. I'll show you in a second. But these are just like little cheap eBay intakes, because like I said, you can't have it come through the front bumper because you don't have a hole right here. So that's pretty much that car. I'm hoping I'm not missing anything. Like, I'm trying to run through this kind of quick because it's about to get dark. I know you guys can't see anyway, but that car is not going to go far. I'm pretty sure it's already gone. So if you guys want more detailed stuff in the day, I could probably make that happen. So like, this is my car with all the correct HR stuff. You can see the difference in the core support. You know, you actually have a hole here for the intake. The line, it just comes out like this instead of having like the big loop, which, you know, if you have a DE car, you know what I'm talking about. So and you can see on the radiator the difference. It's got the little stubby one instead of coming way over here. And, you know, you don't have a filler cap here, you just have your little tank right here. So I'm pretty sure if you would just get, like, I don't know, I would definitely spring for the HR stuff. It's really, that's kind of, it does add a bit to it. But if you have the money, you know, going ahead and buying a good aluminum radiator and a new set of fans and a tank would be the ideal way to go. But as I just showed you, you don't have to do it, because like I said, this setup does work and it does clear just fine. So let's see, something else. And I think there's like some little issues with like the grounds that bolt right here and stuff, like they're not quite long enough on the HR wiring to get to where it does with the DE. I just kind of did my own thing, man. The grounds don't really matter, you just, as long as you have them. So like, this is one ground and they run down there and ground there. I kind of made my own grounds. Even this is like a big massive one that runs to my battery, instead of having like the little dinky one that, you know, Nissan gives you. So let's see here. Yeah, it's a really straightforward swap. I know, like, a lot of people, if you're kind of intimidated, if you've never really worked on stuff, if you don't have much wrenching experience, this might be something you want to just, you know, forget and live with the DE. But if you can swap an engine, so let's say if like you have a DE car and it blew up and you were able to put another DE engine in your car, you can definitely do this, because for the most part everything just bolts up. Your engine's going to bolt in place, your transmission's going to bolt in place, like your drive shaft, all that stuff is going to go together just like, you know, it was factory, because it is factory. One other thing, the test pipes. So if you have factory manifolds on your DE car with test pipes and a full exhaust, those test pipes are not going to work for the HR swap. So you'll have to buy HR test pipes. So, but if you have headers like I do on the white car, it doesn't really matter because your setup's going to work. And I didn't try it, but I'm like pretty confident that you could probably use your DE manifolds on an HR engine, but I wouldn't go that route, just because it's probably going to destroy your power, your little bit of power gain you're getting from doing the HR stuff. Which I'll say this, like, you're definitely gonna make a little more power, but I don't think it's, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it or not. For me, I just did it because it makes more sense, because the HR engines are easier to get than the DE or the rev up, which I'm sure if you had one of those and you've had one blow up, you know what I'm talking about. Like the rev up stuff is everywhere, man. For now anyway. You give it a few years, it might be a little bit different. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else. Like I said, this car, it might be kind of hard for me to get my hands on after this video, but this one is probably going to be around for a while. So yeah, I guess, let's see here, I kind of wanted to do something where I could like drag race the two and have fun with them, but I just don't think it's going to happen. So I'm just going to end this video right here before I make any promises that I can't keep. Like so that car is running great. It's just a stock HR, and like so my car has cams and all that kind of bunch of little goodies. A full exhaust, a cobbled together exhaust that kind of works. But this is my baby right here. Like I said, it's full HR interior, everything works, and that's why I recommend doing it this way, because like all the little lights and stuff that's in the HR car that make it special, you know, it actually works if you do it this way. If you take the wiring harness completely off your car and, you know, steal everything from an HR. And that's the way I would recommend doing it. So say if you could find like a crashed HR car, just buy that, swap everything over. I know for some people that's not an option. It just works out better because, like I said, by the time you sell all your electronics, your wiring harness, your interior, your engine, your transmission from your DE, and like I said, if you can find an HR that's been crashed, like in the back, like I said, you can sell your core support, your front bumper, your headlights, all that stuff, and then you just take it off the HR car. Like, you could probably do an HR swap and make money. I know it doesn't sound true, but it is. Like, this car is super cool. It's got coilovers, big angle. Well, it's got angle kit and a bunch of stuff. And I have hardly, like, I would say zero money in it. I've pretty much made money to build this car. So that's kind of a neat way to do it. It just works out good. Like I said, if you have a running DE car or a rev up car, you could probably get away and have it done with little to no money invested into it. So if you could find a crashed HR. So I would definitely, I would say go to Facebook over auction sites, because auction sites, they're really, you know, the cars can be overpriced because the people you're battling in auction with are people that have like businesses that are buying them to part them out and stuff, so they can afford to spend more money in them. Like I said, I've bought 2 HR cars. I think I paid $2,000 for one and $23,000 for the other one to build these 2 cars. And like I said, that was a complete car, crashed, and like I said, I just stole everything off the crashed HR cars to build these 2 cars. And I'm pretty sure, I can't remember because it was a long time ago, because I sold all my stuff off this car to do the LS swap. But I'm almost certain I got like $2,300 for my DE stuff, for the engine, transmission, wiring harness, computer. So that's not too shabby. And then turn around, if you go back in the videos, and then turn around and bought that red HR car that I showed you when I was putting this junk together. So if you go back, you'll see that car. Yeah, my poor white car has had like 6 or 7 engines in it. It's crazy. But I really enjoy that car. I hate that it's a little more like drift car than I wanted. You know, because it's like, you know, poly bushings everywhere and solid subframe bushings and solid, you know, control arm bushings and stuff like that. So it's not as squishy and comfortable as a factory 350Z is. So, and it's pretty loud because it's got, you know, a big exhaust and everything. All right, guys, like I said, I just wanted to make some kind of video with the car before it got gone, just in case, you know, might not ever see it again. So, but anyway, if you have any other questions about my white car, for sure I can answer them. So yeah, that's it for me now, guys. See you in the next one.